Our project was evaluating the validity of a new measure of anhedonic depression, daily experiences of wanting and liking, DEWL. The daily experiences of wanting and liking, or DEWL, is a new measure that assesses the ability, the potential, and the functioning of depressive anhedonia. Depressive anhedonia refers to the loss of interest in activities that were formerly enjoyed. The DEWL measure was created to provide a more thorough assessment of the depressive anhedonia, as many past measures of anhedonia were developed to study schizophrenia. Currently, there's only one study that evaluates the internal consistency and the factor structure of the DEWL items. We wanted to explore the internal consistency, test-retest reliability, and the relationship between DEWL scores and depression and anxiety by using a different sample and a modified version of the DEWL measure. We predicted that DEWL scores would positively correlate with depression and anxiety, while the association would be stronger for depression than anxiety. For our method, we recruited 160 college students, of which 79.8% were female. The mean age was 18 years old, and 51.4% of them were white. We included 3 measures which were daily experiences of wanting and liking, or DEWL, the Beck Depression Inventory 2, and Mood and Anxiety Symptoms Questionnaire. DEWL is a 23-item measure that assesses depressive anhedonia. The BDI is a 21-item self-report inventory that measures characteristic attitudes and symptoms of depressions. And the MASQ is a 77-item self-report questionnaire that assesses depression and anxiety symptoms.
The 160 undergraduate students were recruited from a psychology subject pool, and they completed measures of depression, anxiety, and anhedonia at 2 time points over a 7-month period. All measures were administered online using Qualtrics. Internal consistency, test-retest reliability, as well as the relationship between DEWL scores and depression and anxiety symptoms were assessed. To test for internal consistency, a Cronbach's alpha score was calculated. To test-retest reliability from the first to the second assessment, a Pearson correlation was computed. And finally, convergent validity and discriminant validity were assessed by comparing total correlations between DEWL and BDI scores, as well as DEWL and MASQ scores, examining the MASQ scales separately, looking at anxious arousal and anhedonic depression. So for the results, the item total correlations revealed a strong internal consistency between all but 2 items within the DEWL measure. And if you look at this table here, you can see the ones with an asterisk over here were the items that performed poorly. So those were removed for potentially confusing wording. The test-retest reliability was moderately reliable with scores of 0.667. Consistent with the previous study's findings, the DEWL scores correlated significantly and positively with depression scores from the BDI, and they correlated less strongly with anxiety scores from the MASQ, displaying evidence of discriminant validity. Within the MASQ, the DEWL items correlated more strongly with the items related to anhedonic depression than those related to anxious arousal.
The findings show that DEWL is a new promising measure of anhedonic depression, as it had both strong internal consistency and moderate test-retest reliability. Findings also indicate convergent and discriminant validity, showing that the questions in the scale relate to items that are similar, which were BDI and AD, and do not relate as much to items that are not similar, which was AA. The future studies may want to consider testing the DEWL measure within a clinical and diverse populations across gender, age, and race.